Christian? Here. Terry Lally?
Here.
Amy White?
Here.
Ralph Wentz? Here. Corey Oakland?
Here. Before we start off our meeting, we had a passing of a beloved member in our community, Mr. Ron Rapp, who passed away, I believe, on the 18th. He was the owner of the Dairy Queen in North Lima, and I believe a couple others as well. And cancer, yeah. And I believe he was also a board member for 2 terms. Is that correct? 2 terms. So if you don't mind, we would like to have a moment of silence. Thank you. First up on our agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes. Is there any questions or discussions on that? Do you have a motion?
I motion.
Jerry motions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ralph seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the financial report with Mr. Phillips.
Okay. Our regular general fund this month, well, the month of March, and a few payments in April, and then advances from the county auditors for spring tax settlement. And so that's included in this figure I'm going to read on the regular general fund. $2,203,020, $28.83. I'm going to get used to the new lighting. Current encumbrances, $831,619.17, leaving an unencumbered balance of $1,371,409.66. In our bond retirement account, and I will be writing a purchase order this month against this figure for the June 1st payment. $1,171,418.46, and there's no encumbrances yet against that, but there will be. Moving back to the grant section. Our current grants are running in the negative, as they always do. I will make a request either late this month. It depends on when the last payroll is. If I do it before the 20th, that's good because I get it this month. If I do it after the last payroll, I can claim more money and less. So there's the bad side is it won't show up until the next month. So I'll decide what to do when we see how payrolls are coming in. So our total fund balance, all funds, $3,627,979.94. Encumbered against that, $961,789.61, leaving an unencumbered balance, $2,666,190.33. Of the $3,627,979.94, we have invested in Star Ohio $230,742.13. Farmers Sweep account $2,584,327.23. Petty cash $780. That leaves it, you do all the math there, $812,130.58. This is as of the end of March 31st. We do have a couple of payments that came in for tax collections, over $1 million more in April, and you may recall in November, the board passed the depository agreement for home savings and loan. They're paying much more interest than what we're currently getting, 1.87 I think it is, and so I did put $1 million in there. That'll reflect on the next month's. That proofs out as follows. The Farmers General account, $850,000 even. Cafeteria deposits in transit, $51.25. And I will say that there's going to be a correction next month on that. Bank read that as $1.25, so we're going to have to get another adjustment against that same transaction. Outstanding general fund checks were $37,920.67. And that math does total out and proves as it should to $812,130.58. As always, you've received a revenue appropriation and check made report. And if there are any questions on that, I can entertain those now. And if not, I am done with this part. But before we move on, I did want to read one other thing. Any questions on any of the other reports first?
Any questions for Mr. Phillips?
Okay, I wanted to go over the cuts that we made last March. Some of the board members were getting questions about what was this, what was that. So I just wanted to do a real basic rundown of how those cuts are totaling up. The estimated fiscal year 19 salaries and associated benefits of the reductions in force adopted last month total about $433,727. I say estimated because wages of hourly aides and some hourly bus drivers could vary depending on actual hours worked. In addition to the personnel cuts, the elimination of an annual bus purchase would save about $85,000. Of course, we cannot neglect bus replacement indefinitely, but depending on how things go, we're going to have to try to for a year or two. The original 3% of expenditure amount that I used to use for our contingencies was reduced, I don't know if it was a year or 2 years ago, to 1.5% of expenditures. That was leaving us in the neighborhood of $200,000. We're going to cut that contingency by $100,000. Our contingency will be lowered, saving another $100,000. I decided on that amount because the last 3-year history shows that we need about $100,000 a year. It ranged from $88,000 to $100,000. And so that's a contingency at the end of the year. We're not allowed to close in the negative. So each year we do need, depending on how grants close out, if we have to do advances to cover grants until the state sends us the money for those grants, that's what that contingency usually takes care of. The board has identified up to as much as $35,000 in extracurricular costs that also be looked at depending on the growth of open enrollment, which could increase $150,000 conservatively, all the way up to $246,000 if all the students that have asked and applied so far actually enroll. Just because they took out an application, turned it in, and we're thinking, we're reviewing those now. Maybe some of them for some reason wouldn't be able to come in, or maybe they'll change their mind and not actually enroll once we notify them that they've been accepted. But if all that turns out, open enrollment can do a little bit better for us that way. So that remains to be seen over the next month or so, Mr. Dunham, I suppose. Yes. And also, as property taxes come in, final settlement hopefully will be in by the end of April, although it could be early May. As you know, the tax bills went out late. There was some kind of snafu in the paper that the county auditor and treasurer's office, and that may back it up to early May. So that's the basic rundown of how we come up with the amounts in the neighborhood, anywhere between $850,000 and $950,000 that we're cutting to make up over a 2-year period the $1.8 million deficit that was on the October forecast. We will update our forecast in May. There's a couple of reasons that they wait till May. Obviously, the later in the year that you update that, the more accurate information you have in terms of first half property settlements, and just all the information. Every day you go forward, the information gets better. Open enrollment in our case is another thing. I was thinking that we're not going to get too much more in open enrollment than we had last year, and it's continuing to boom for us.
All right, thank you, Mr. Phillips. Is there any other questions for Mr. Phillips this time? All right, do we have a motion to move on his financial reports? Mr. Christian moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. White seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up on the agenda is district reports and good news. Mr. Dunn.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start with Mr. Matus, good news from the elementary.
Check. Sibilance. Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. This is our April good news from the elementary. And the first is not just about the elementary, but it's for the entire district, for the South Range Foundation. Saturday, March 24th was the night at the races for the foundation. Mrs. White and I both right now are board members on there. It was very well attended. We had a lot of people there. A lot of people who couldn't be there still supported it, buying horses and trying to attend if they could. Overall, when the night was all said and done, we raised about $20,000. And that money goes directly back to the students and the staff when they write grants in the fall. So just a big thank you goes out from the foundation to everyone who was able to support that evening in some way. In the elementary, we start our Ohio State test this week. Our third graders will begin testing tomorrow with their language arts test tomorrow and Wednesday. Math tests will be this Thursday and Friday. And then next week, our fourth graders have their language arts test on Monday and Tuesday. And then fourth grade math is May 1st and 2nd. So just like to wish all the boys and girls best of luck on those tests. We have kindergarten screening coming up on May 3rd and 4th. And our numbers are looking pretty good right now for kindergarten. Right now, we could have a maximum of 99 students coming into kindergarten next year, and a lot of that does depend on, as Mr. Phillips was saying, some of the open enrollment numbers, some students who are just on the fence whether or not they may come, some early entrance students, but with all the students who have shown interest, that number is pretty high for this time of the year. Minimum could be down to about 82, and I'm guessing we'll end up somewhere in the middle there, but those are very good numbers for this time of year. Typically, if we look back in the spring at this time, we've always, the last few years, been around 60, 65 students, and then it would grow throughout the summer. So I'm very happy to see those numbers for kindergarten. Tonight, I do want to talk a little bit about Mrs. Vizdos. Mrs. Vizdos is our elementary music teacher. This is her second year as our music teacher. We have been having our spring music programs. We started March 22nd. We had our third grade program before spring break. Then they continued in April with kindergarten. Kindergarten April 12th. Second grade will be this week on April 19th, and then our first grade Grandparents' Day on April 25th. All family and friends are invited to attend, and so far we have had great attendance at our programs. May 16th will be our annual fourth grade recorder concert. Big thank you to Mike Sabota from the middle school. He's been running our video and our sound, and he records all the programs on DVDs for our parents. And then a big thank you to PTO for providing our refreshments after the shows. Then the last thing I want to mention is this Saturday, April 21st, we have our annual Spring Fling, which will be from 3 to 7 p.m. in the cafeteria and the high school gym. Thank you.
Mr. Zoll, middle school.
Thanks, Mr. Dunham. Good evening, everyone. I have three pieces of good news. I have a couple special guests here. I'll get to those two fine young men in just a minute. First, the 7th and 8th grade Power of the Pen teams traveled to Kent State University for the regional tournament this past Saturday. The 7th grade team placed 4th out of 15 teams, and the 8th grade team placed 3rd. Individually, Haley Humphreys placed 1st out of 86 8th grade writers, and we are pleased to report that we have 9 state qualifiers for Power of the Pen. Those 7th grade state qualifiers are Abby Harold, Abby McCabe, Elizabeth Protein, and Kelly Zolik. And our 8th grade state qualifiers are Haley Humphreys, Melanie Aubend, Lauren Engel, Ashley Johnson, and Sydney Roadhamel. For Mr. Dispenza in the music department, and I'm probably gonna have to hold this about 18 feet from my face because I can hardly read it. South Range Middle School students participated in the District 5 solo and ensemble events. That was on March 24th. The students performed either musical solo or an instrumental ensemble or both. Student performances were evaluated by music teachers from other areas of the state. Soloists and ensemble members receiving a superior rating were Philip Naples on snare drum, drum set, and piano, Camden Thomas on the French horn, Sally Dispenza on the French horn, Andre Pagnotta alto and tenor sax, Ethan Royal alto sax, Emmett Bailey trumpet, Morgan Rapp oboe and trumpet, Presley Novak flute, Sydney Roadham, Haley Humphreys, and Lauren Engel in the woodwind trio. Soloists and ensembles receiving an excellent or good rating were Amanda Vizdos, Emmett Bailey, and Morgan Rapp in the trumpet trio, Leah Bashani, the soprano solo, Amanda Vizdos, Morgan Rapp, Camden Thomas, and Caden Sykes for the brass quartet, Ashley Johnson, Ellie Spencer, Sally Dispenza, and Quentin Pugh for the brass quartet, Sydney Lesson piano, Gage Gilby snare drum, Presley Novak, McKenna Meek, and Paige Rhodes for the woodwind trio. And that brings me to the young men I have asked to come this evening. Jacob Richardson and Nick Plunkett recently received the United Way Rising Stars Award. This past summer they chose to do a service project. I'm not going to give you too much of the detail because I want them to go ahead and do it. I'm going to ask them to come forward now and give you some information on what they did this past summer.
Well, over the summer, Nick and I, we chose to do a service project because, I don't know, I guess we were kind of bored. We did this and we talked to our parents about it, and they said that no matter what job you have in this community, that it's important to give back, so that was one of our main points. And so this was for the United Way Success After 6 program. So it was $66 to feed 2 children for a week with some imported foods. And we asked members of the community and the bar to donate that.
Our goal was $15,000 by Thanksgiving. We ended up raising $5,125. Wrote an individual thank you letter to everyone that donated money to us.
Last Thursday we got recognized at the United Way annual meeting, and we got the Rising Star Award. So,
That's what I get to follow. Good evening, everyone from the high school. Gabrielle de Cesare was recently recognized as a 2018 recipient of the YWCA Young Women's with a Bright Future Award. Each year, one girl from each school district in Mahoning and parts of Trumbull counties are recognized for their leadership roles. During the winter months, she attended leadership sessions with other girls nominated by their home districts. And she put together a canned food drive here at South Range that helped collect items for the YWCA. She made it a competition in the classes that brought in the highest number of canned items in both the middle school and the elementary school on ice cream treats. This on Saturday, April 7th, the girls were celebrated at the annual awards breakfast held at the Holiday Inn in Boardman. The second bit of good news, Nicole Ben attended the 21st annual Edward W. Powers Women in STEM Career Workshop that was held on April 14th at YSU. The workshop presented to young ladies in grades 6 through 12 career opportunities in science and engineering. Students had the opportunity to interact with women scientists from the area, along with faculty, staff, and students from YSU. Nick Millicent took the Americanism test with a group of other South Range juniors in the late fall, in late November, and placed 4th in the state of Ohio. He was named an alternate for a fully sponsored trip to Washington, D.C. for his achievement on the test that consisted of several multiple choice questions and an essay. Paul Lindstrom is leading a group of 31, mostly South Range students, 11 parents on a trip to Western Europe in June of 2019. Erica Berkey, Tony Foster, and Kelly Leach will be chaperones. The trip will be in commemoration of the 75th anniversary of D-Day invasion in World War II. In addition to visiting World War II related sites in London, Paris, and Berlin, the group will visit Omaha Beach and the American Cemetery in Normandy. In preparation for the trip, the students will be researching and interviewing World War II veterans and their families in the Youngstown area. There are approximately 50 grave sites in the Normandy Cemetery of Youngstown boys who gave their life for the liberation of France. The students will visit each of these sites, share what they've learned about each fallen Youngstown soldier, and honor their legacy. This is something that's really neat for us. They've had a couple meetings. There's a gentleman in Mahoning County, his name is Howdy Friend. He is a survivor of the Normandy invasion, and the last meeting that Mr. Lindstrom had, he was talking to the kids about it, and he was going through all of the stuff about this trip, and they kind of had a plan where Mr. Friend was going to walk in as they were talking about it, and it kind of made an lasting impression on the kids because of the timing and everything like that. So that's really going to be a great experience for our kids when they have the opportunity to do that. Congratulations to Wesley Blythe, Shidell Meek, William McCreary, Brian Kimball, and Leia Sankovich for all winning first place for their various 3D art and ceramics projects at Poland's first annual Exceptional Art Show. All these students are in Sam McMahon's classroom, but they also take different electives in the high school. The last thing I have is some good news and some dates from the music department. The South Range Wind Ensemble performed at the Hubbard Festival of Bands this past month and was very well received by the 3 judges in attendance. Dr. Greg from Westminster College was the guest musician, and he worked with each band at the end of the performance and gave the band raving reviews. Comments from other judges included very musical, bravo, on one or more occasion, you gave me goosebumps today. Fantastic job today, band. Congrats to you and your director, and thank you for all your hard work. On a final note, Dr. Gregg told Mr. DeCesare that he's been paying attention to our music program for years and was always impressed with the program, especially considering the size of our district. Music department is planning a senior band trip to New York City. The kids will be going to the 9/11 Memorial as well as the museums, in addition to going to a Broadway show, The Phantom of the Opera. They'll be leaving this Thursday after school and will return Sunday evening. Finally, the music department hopes that you will all come out and enjoy many of the spring concert performances. The music staff is convinced you'll be happy you spent an evening or two with the great kids. May 7th, 7 p.m., all choirs from grades 6 to 12 will perform. The high school show choir will perform not one, but 2 complete show choir performances. The first is The Phantom of the Opera, and the second is a tribute to Bruno Mars. This will be exciting. Bruno Mars, he's exciting. He can dance, that guy. So hopefully some of our kids use some of his dance moves up on stage. On Thursday, May 10th, the middle school band will perform. Mr. DeCesare is asking if you check his website for all the times for the specific bands. Saturday, May 12th is a high school concert, and Wind Ensemble will perform their last concert of the year. All the students in all grades and performing groups have worked extremely hard to prepare for this performance, and we truly hope you come out to see and hear them, even if you do not have a child in the group. Thank you.
Mrs. Pierce, food service? Nope.
Hi everyone. Okay, so last week, if many of you didn't know, it was Employee Appreciation Day. So for the cafeteria staff, I brought in a breakfast and also got each staff member a balloon that says "You Rock." I know this was a small gesture, but for any of you who have been to another school or even a nutrition group school, I really do believe that South Range Cafeteria sticks out from the others. We offer 10 to 12 options every single day. So if you ever hear a student say there's nothing to eat in the cafeteria, that's definitely a big lie, because we offer many options every day. So it's a big kudos to the ladies in the kitchen that prepare that every single day and give our students and staff all those great options. So we celebrated that last week, and last month, I don't know if I mentioned this last month or not, it was Dr. Seuss's birthday, so we had green eggs and ham for the elementary students. That's a big tradition, and that went over very well. Next Wednesday, before the music program, is the grandparents' breakfast. The cafeteria is helping out with that, so we're prepping for that. And the next day is the third All-Pro Dad breakfast. That's been going great with our third grade students and their dads, their uncles, their brothers. That's been going very well. And right now we're in the early stages, but I've been brainstorming and running some ideas with Mr. Dunham about potentially doing a small garden at South Range. I think this is a great opportunity for our district. I think we have a lot of great resources in the community, so I'm starting to reach out to some people to see what we can get started. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's it.
Thank you. Mrs. Lewis, any report? Mr. Bagnott, Facilities or Technology?
Good evening, members. Let's start with maintenance. We're still pursuing LED alternatives. We're going to start in the large areas first. And just to give you an idea, I mean, obviously there's going to be an investment on this, but I don't believe we'll have to do any loans or borrow any money for this, but the rebate amounts we'll get back to do this project would total $5,338. That's where I'm at right now. Again, it's an investment, and in about 5 to 6 years, it'll basically pay for itself. We're looking at the gyms, and we're looking at the parking lots, and then we'll move to other areas as well. And we have been changing out lights as we go. We're removing ballast and putting in an LED alternative, and it's something that we do as a staff in our maintenance department. That's on the maintenance side. Technology side, we're proud to say that the first day of testing went well on the technology side. There were no glitches on our network, so that's a great thing. I mean, we pretty much anticipate this all year long, hoping that it goes off well. We're setting up 120 more Chromebooks, thank you to the foundation and the elementary PTO, that we're going to put back into the classrooms. And another thing we're looking at is through our consortium of all the school districts, all have data centers, and Access is our center that's in Canfield. Throughout the state of Ohio, there's a consortium of these centers called the Management Council Ohio Education Computer Network. And what they do is they negotiate pricing on behalf of all the schools in Ohio for programs that schools need to operate on, like Microsoft, Adobe, and antivirus software. So they negotiate less expensive pricing. One of the things they're looking at now is a program called Go Guardian that we've had some teachers demo and watch some webinars. This program is for monitoring Chromebooks and helping control Chromebooks in the classroom when students are using them. Teachers can see what the students are doing, but it also has a filtering component to it as well. And we as a school have to have a filter in place. We have to remain CIPA compliant, which basically the bare minimum filtering standard, but we go beyond that for our students. So again, that's something that we have in place already. They negotiate these contracts when they come around. So as I learn more about that, I'll share that information with you. But at the end of the day, it's a great educational tool for our teachers to use in the classroom to help them manage the students when they're using these devices. And that's it.
Thank you.
All right, next up on our agenda is board policy adoption. This is in reference to our board policy 0169.1, public participation at board meetings. I'm not sure if Mr. Dunn wants to speak further on this.
Absolutely. The board policy, we're recommending that we adopt 0169.1. It's a revised policy. In a nutshell, we're deleting the 10-day rule or practice, deleting that that's in place right now on the agenda. So for public participation, the agenda has been posted 10 days previously to tonight. And if someone wanted to speak on a non-agenda item, it can be approved by board president and superintendent. So we're deleting that. The rest of the policy will remain as is.
The only thing I want to add to that is, and I know I said it in previous months as well, but there's going to be obviously times where we may not be able to get the exact facts for everybody, and it may take a meeting or so to get back with the exact amounts or figures that you're asking. We may even set up additional meetings for you privately to answer those questions you may have, and I think that's only fair to us, so we make sure we get you the most accurate information. Is there any other comments or discussions from the board? All right. Next up is the approval of members of the class of 2018 for graduation.
Some great news, obviously very cyclical. This time last year, we spoke about the class of 2017. This year's class of 2018, roughly 118 seniors will be graduating on May 26, 2018, 6:00 p.m. here in the K-12 complex in the gymnasium. The resolution reads, move that the South Range Local Board of Education approve for commencement from South Range High School the following senior students. We've got a list of 118 students that have met all the requirements for graduation of the South Range Local Board of Education, the State Board of Education, the Ohio Legislature, Mahoning County Career and Technical Center Board of Education, and the governing board of the Mahoning County Educational Service Center, insofar as requirements of these bodies apply to individual students. This has been a great class, and looking forward to being part of the commencement ceremony on May 26th.
Any discussion on that for the board members? Next up is the authorization of the sale of the former South Range High School Memorial Field Complex.
There's been plenty of discussion about the old South Range complex, the Memorial Field over in North Lima for the last year. A lot of discussion in terms of what's going to happen to it. We last used the field, Memorial Field, for field competitively back in the fall of 2016. Obviously, we no longer have a need for the field or the facility. Our wrestlers have been using the old locker room, what we now call a wrestling room, during the winter months. Obviously, the stadium, the Rominger Field, or the Ralph Whitmer Field, and the Rominger Sports Complex, Raider Stadium is a new home for our Raider student athletes. What I'm recommending tonight is that we auction the property to see what kind of interest we have from those outside. Obviously, we're able to put a reserve on the property and reject all or any of the bids received. This is a process. This would be one of the first readings. Authorizes Mr. Phillips and I to Mr. Phillips have to advertise, I believe it's for how many days?
2 consecutive weeks, and then after that second one, you have to wait 30 days before you act. And we haven't received back as of today the title work yet, so I was planning on advertising it this Thursday. It's definitely going to be moved into next week because our legal counsel wants to have that title work in his hands so that he can complete all the language he has to.
If this were approved, it would be most likely somewhere middle of June, first few weeks of June before we could actually auction it. It would be a sealed bid, not an auctioneer as maybe some of you are envisioning.
Okay. Any questions or discussions on that?
We're putting a reserve.
There would be a reserve on it, yes.
All right. Any other discussions? Next up is the IDEA funds public input. This is mandated by federal law. I don't know.
You may recall last year we had the same public input or board solicits from attendees regarding the use of IDEA funds. We use federal funds to support our special education programs. And anyone in the audience, if you have questions or recommendations or thoughts, this is the time to express them.
All right. Seeing as there are none, next up is public participation for the agenda items. And before opening it up to public participation, I just want to reiterate our public participation policy as stated by our bylaw 0169.1. The public participation section is strictly for those listed on the agenda. We will have a time for public participation for non-agenda items later on this evening. Quick reminder that any comments that are frivolous, repetitive, harassing, antagonistic, and too lengthy are prohibited, and I do plan on holding everybody to that standard. And I will interrupt if I feel those comments start to stray in those realms. Discussion should probably be directed towards me. Further, each person is allotted 2 minutes, and I plan on holding everyone speaking to that. And at that time, if anybody's interested, you can step up to the microphone. Just please state your name before speaking. Okay, seeing as there are none, let's go through the agenda items. All right, first up is board policy adoption. Do I have a motion? Mr. Christian moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wingan seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the approval of members of the class of 2018 for graduation. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
Mrs. Lowry motions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. White seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is board resolution authorizing the sale of the former South Range High School Memorial Field Complex. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
Mrs. Lally motions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wynn seconds. Roll call.
Taylor Christian? Yes. Carrie Lally?
Yes.
Ralph Wentz? Yes. Amy White?
Yes.
Corey Oakham?
Yes. Motion carries. All right. And IDEA funds public input is no board action, so do we want to go to non-agenda, Mr. Dunn?
Yes, sure.
All right. Next up is the non-agenda items for public participation. We did have one request, Mr. White.
Check.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Real quick, first of all, I guess our two boys left, I would just like to commend them because this is what it's all about. Oh, here's one of them back here, Mr. Plunkett and Mr. Richardson. Is he still here too? He's gone. But congratulations, that's a great thing you do because this place is about community. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. We need to support the community, and to start out young like that, that's great. If you take a look in the audience, you'll see a lot of coaches, Mr. Shannon, Mr. Schmidt, I'm not going to see everyone, Mrs. McKee, there's a lot here, Roy Hauser, Barney, some RURTAN members. It's about the community, and I just wanted to say that. One of the biggest things is I want to keep this positive. We have a very good thing going here. Sometimes we get a lot of pressure and a lot of heat, and I just think if we can keep the positive in it, keep the community involvement, we need to keep it going in the right direction. Mr. Dunham took a pretty much beating last month at the meeting. I didn't think it was very fair to him. I thought it was pretty much bullying, so Rich can watch his watch. But I thought it was very low. You can check, if you want to see what superintendents make, you can go on to the Ohio Treasury. Dennis Dunham is a bargain. Every couple years that Dennis Dunham works, it saves a teacher. We pay him what we pay him. What he makes in his retirement, that's up to him. That's his money, that's his salary. So that's all I really want to say is, like I said, this community, we just need to keep striving for the positive. We have a lot of positive people out there. We have a lot of people from the outside who come in. and hopefully we can just keep that going. So we'll leave it up to that. Thank you.
Can you hear me? This way. I would like to thank you, Mr. Yoakum, and the board president and the board for starting to take action against bullying behavior. I think this venue is a first attempt, and I think it's good. Do you agree that this is a good place for the board meetings? And I would like to piggyback off what Mr. Christian brought up last week about bullying. And just often bullying takes place in the presence of a large group of relatively uninvolved bystanders. In many cases, it is the bully's ability to create the illusion that he or she has the support of the majority present, and it instills fear of speaking out in protestation of the bullying activities being observed by the group. Unless the bully mentality is effectively challenged in any given group in its early stages, it often becomes an accepted or supported norm within the group. Unless action is taken, a culture of bullying is often perpetuated within a group for months, years, or longer. When bullying happens, it is often the case that it is ignored by those around us. And when this happens, the behavior goes unchallenged. But bullying can be stopped, and we all have a role to ensure that it does. I believe we, the community, and you, the Board of Education, need to fight for one cause, and that is the betterment of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda is March, April, May District Update with Mr. Dunn.
Good evening again. Yes, I'd start like this. You know, it's been a crazy month of weather when the planned tornado drill. We had one planned for March 21st. We didn't have the tornado drill because we had a calamity day. We had a snow day. We're still experiencing the weather. We're talking about snow tonight. Here it is. It's April 16th. So, you know, we've had probably as many cancellations and postponements for after-school events as we've had in a long period of time. But we had a glimpse of it Friday and Saturday, and let's hope that things will continue to get better as the week goes on. Since the last board meeting, we've had quite a few activities. The night of the board meeting, and also the next night, we've had our class scheduling for the 18-19 school year. Yes, 18-19 school year, and that was in March when we were planning for that. So it's very normal that we're planning before the school year is ever over with what we can do for our students when 18-19 arrives here in late August. Our spring sports, again, as I just mentioned, are in full swing despite the weather. Mr. White mentioned about the community organizations. You know, our Beaver Township Brewerton, Greenford Township, Greenford Brewerton, South Range Schools Foundation, all three groups have been tremendous in terms of supporting and helping our students throughout many years. A great deal of money goes to our senior scholarships, which you will be hearing about in the next month from the organizations I just mentioned. Both organizations volunteer their time, their money, and a lot of support in terms of helping our kids. The South Range Schools Foundation Night at the Races was very successful on March 24th. So we're just fortunate that we have people that want to do these things year in and year out, month in and month out, and it's not for their benefit, but it's for the kids that you're going to see on May 26th, the kids that you saw in front of you earlier this evening and throughout the school year. So again, many thanks to our volunteer organizations. Mr. Matus did not mention, but you talked about the spring music program. I don't think you mentioned the 12th, but April 12th is our kindergarten spring program. On the 12th, we have a busy week. I'm sorry, we did that on the 12th. And I wanted to mention that was a great program, and Mrs. Vizdo says our whole music program has been busy with preparing for our spring concerts and things of that nature that are coming around in the month of May. We have all mentioned the busy week that's starting with the state testing, this week and next week and beyond. Our elementary PTO spring fling is this weekend as well. Corporal Hartman sitting in the back. Corporal Hartman and I had an opportunity last month to go to Letonia schools. We're taking a look at the classroom door locks that they have in place. Some of you may have heard of bolo sticks in a kind of basic way. There's holes that are drilled in the floor, and there's a stick that's posted into the floor, into that hole. Prevents the door from swinging open or shut. In terms of intruders, this would prevent folks from gaining access into the classroom. There's many different mechanisms. We just wanted to get a look at that, what they have at Letonia. It was just installed this year. Might be something we're going to investigate for the future. Some other items we looked at, there's some window film, and it's kind of twofold. The window film prohibits those that are on the outside from seeing what's going on the inside. So it's like a two-way mirror. You can see out, but you can't see in. And also there's some safety film that makes the windows very hard to break if there are an intruder trying to get into the building, into a door or the classroom windows that we have. On another note, the Stadium Capital Fundraising Committee continues to meet and plan to prepare for phases 3 and 4. I think we're going to be seeing some activity in the near future with the team room in between the band shell and the south end of the home bleachers. The music boosters, as well as the athletic boosters, continue to need everyone's support. The band shell is not complete yet, and obviously the stadium project is not complete either. Lots of people, again, volunteering their time, not for their benefit, but for kids that are entering the school as kindergartners, or those students that are going to be seniors and upperclassmen next year. So a lot of good things happening. People are what makes this school system. I talked about it last month, working hard to support our staff on a daily basis. I see no end in sight of people not continuing to do that. People are here, they want to make things better for all. Our classified staff, our certificated staff, our administrators, obviously our board and treasurer, work hard to make this a good place. So thanks to all of you that continue your support in terms of making a difference here in our community. That's all I have for the month of April. May is a busy month, as you know, it's a banquet season, and again, the culminating event of May 26th with graduation and the last day of school for our students. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Next up on our agenda is executive session. We would be going in under Ohio Revised Code 121.22 for the purpose of confidential discussion of employment of a public employee or official, to discuss the compensation of an employee, to consider the sale of property, and to discuss school security protocol. Do you have a motion? Mrs. Lally motions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wynn seconds. Roll call.
Taylor Christian?
Yes.
Perry Lally?
Yes.
Ralph Witz?
Yes.
Amy White?
Yes.
Corey Ogle?
Yes. The board enters executive session at 7:48 p.m.